So you like having people here. If you really like having people here, try and touch this machine. There you go.
Oh, wow. So our MEL meter measures EMF, electromagnetic field. And in our field, what most people believe is that if a major change in the electromagnetic field around us changes, then a spirit is either maybe drawing energy away from the atmosphere to manifest itself, or is adding energy somehow to show itself or to do something like move something or whatever. So most teams have some equipment like an EMF meter, and then we have a second type of EMF meter. So this one is quiet. It only gives us a digital signal. This one, having the visual indicator and the sound, we're able to set it in a place and then put a camera on it and walk away to see if that area is active when we are not there. If we are in an area that we believe is active but we're not getting any kind of activity, this is called an EMF pump. So what this thing does is it generates electromagnetic field. So when we turn it on, you can feel it vibrate, and over the course of about 10 minutes, it'll generate enough electromagnetic field about 6 feet in diameter to go from a normal field of probably 2 milligauss, which nature provides, to a field of about 30 milligauss. And if a spirit's there and it's looking for energy to manifest itself, this would provide that energy. Some teams truly believe that that is the way to go to get energy, spirits to manifest themselves. One of the devices that you'll see on television a lot, they call it the spirit box, ghost box, a lot of other things. And what they are is generally just an AM/FM radio that has been modified. So what this thing will do is once you turn it on, you can have it scan frequencies. And you can see the speed where it says 400 ms, it's milliseconds. So what this thing will start doing is scanning your frequency to see, there we go, through that level. So it'll start scanning frequency. And it's what it potentially does is allow a spirit that if it has words coming from the radio stations, the spirit can take those words and apply them in a certain order to answer your questions. Again, you'll see this on the Ghost Adventure show and other shows a lot. They really buy into the spirit box. So we have a couple of these on our team. So then we have, of course, just our assortment of cameras. The main differences between all of them, some are just regular cameras. This is a full HD that has night vision camera. And this one is what's called a full spectrum. And what that does for us is the human eye can see in certain spectrums of light. And a full spectrum camera allows us to see in ultraviolet spectrum and in the infrared spectrum. And we can see that through the lens here. So, something that we may not be able to see ourselves, the camera would be able to see if it was in that light spectrum. We call this guy our trigger object, and if you've never seen one of these before, basically you can plug it into anything metallic. We have a metal stand that we often use, and we'll plug a toy onto it. If we're in an area where we think that children's spirits might be, we'll say, hey, you can come touch the bear if you want to, or come play with our monkey. And if they get close enough to it and touch something, you can see that you don't even have to touch the cord, it'll go off. And something like this, if we're like at a bar or someplace like a restaurant that has served alcohol or beer or peanuts, any food, we can plug that in, we can stick peanuts in there and say, okay, free peanuts if you want. And if some type of energy breaks that plane, it'll cause that item to beep. And you can see you don't even have to get very close. This device is normally nothing more than just a 35mm camera that we can use with a wide variety of lenses. But this guy right here is what makes this camera setup interesting. So a company called AEO Photo out of California makes this thing called a spectral detector. And what it can do is one of two things. You turn it on and you can turn the setting to EMF, which is electromagnetic field, the same as our MEL meter, or you can turn it to PIR, which is thermal. And what it does is this sensor reads about 30-degree angle, about 60 feet deep. And we attach it to our camera, and we have a plug that plugs into here and into the camera. And if it senses a change in the electromagnetic field, it'll trigger the camera to start taking pictures as fast as it can. Or if you have it in a thermal mode, if it sees a change in temperature, whether a hot spot or a cold spot, it'll also trigger the camera. This device by far is my most favorite piece of ghost hunting equipment. And then this thing, of course, looks like a little bit of a sniper rifle thing, and its idea is also EMF based. So what it can do is it hears the EMF. So we plug this thing into our speakers, and if one of our EMF devices picks up a signal but we can't figure out where it's coming from, we can take this thing and start using it as more of a precise pinpoint methodology. So we turn this on and we say, okay, somewhere in this room there's an EMF, we can't figure out where it's coming from. Is it the light? Is it something else? And we can start pointing that in different directions, and we hear based on volume and intensity where the EMF is. And then we can narrow it down and say, oh, it was just that light, sending out some EMF. It's not paranormal at all. Or the EMF is coming from right here in this area. What would be causing that? And it gives us a way to just kind of narrow down what to shoot for.